The Great Western Tour concludes in the Emerald City of Seattle, Washington, where the Braves and Mariners begin a brief two-game series tonight at Safeco Field. All year long, Braves baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the low price, every day. It's safe to say the Braves desperately need a win. They are 0 for 6 so far on this Western swing to LA and San Diego, and they've got to beat King Felix if they're to break into the win column in Seattle tonight. Hi again, friends, along with former Mariner Joe Simpson. I'm Chip Carey. Welcome to beautiful Seattle, Washington, where times are tough for the Braves. An 0-6 road trip so far, Joe, has had big implications in the National League Eastern Division race.
Yeah, they've dropped a game or two, but it's no reason for everybody to get out on the ledge and jump, because the Washington Nationals aren't exactly running off and leaving anybody. Look at the last 10-game records. Nobody playing good baseball. Only the Marlins at 6-4 even look decent. The Nationals lost last night. They're getting clobbered tonight. The Braves have a chance to gain some ground, but it is going to be tough.
It is going to be tough because they're facing their third Cy Young Award winner on this road trip. King Felix Hernandez gets the ball from the Mariners. Alex Wood matched Zach Greinke pitch for pitch last time out against the Dodgers. You know the Braves want to see more of the same.
You know, Alex Wood's been pitching good baseball. He just gets zero run support. And this poor guy pitched his heart out against Greinke and the Dodgers in L.A. Earlier on this road trip. He went 7 innings, gave up 1 run, and took a loss. So if he just gets some runs, especially some runs early, it'll make a huge difference. There are the numbers. Since he came back to the rotation, 5 quality starts out of 7. Good ERA, hopefully more of the same tonight.
But who better than King Felix Hernandez for the Seattle Mariners, a man that has a perfect game on his resume and might be the front runner for the Cy Young in the AL again.
He's leading the world in just about every category. This guy's so good. His walk to strikeout ratio, strikeout to walk ratio, let me just say, is almost 6-1. Great changeup, good slider, throws in the low to mid-90s. He's everything everybody talks about in King Felix. Look at his rankings in the American League in those categories. And how about this? A Major League record, 14 straight starts of 7 or more innings and 2 or fewer runs. That's why runs are going to be at a premium tonight.
He has faced the Braves once, and you might recall a few short years ago, the Braves clobbered him here at Safeco Field. Hopefully, the same outcome is in store tonight. When we come back, Jason Hayward's back in the lineup. He's heating up as we continue on in the month of August. The Braves and Mariners get rocking and rolling right after this.
Wash City as the Braves are fresh off a day off as they get set to open a 2-game set with the Mariners in Seattle. Hey guys, I'm Jen Hildreth at beautiful Safeco Field, and it is no secret the Braves are in need of a fresh start. They have struggled going winless on this road trip so far, but one guy who hasn't struggled, at least when he's been in the lineup, is Jason Hayward. Now, Jason missed the first 4 games of this road trip with a sore back, but since he's been back, boy, has he been good, and that's our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot. In the last 2 games against the Padres, Jason went 5 for 9 with 3 extra base hits, scored 3 runs, and he comes in here to Seattle feeling pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's the second half of the season. You know, I've had plenty of ABs now to, to feel out where I need to be, and I did pay attention to the games, and tried to stay focused in that mentality of it. But just nice to come back and contribute, and hopefully, we all come together.
Jason told me that back has pretty much been pain-free since Friday night. He's getting a little treatment to keep it that way. And now let's see if he can keep igniting a Braves offense that sure is in need of it. In fact, both of these teams looking to break through with their bats. Runs could be hard to come by tonight with the 2 guys on the mound. So we'll see who indeed will break through. First pitch between the Braves and the Mariners is on the way.
Is brought to you by Mazda. It is a gorgeous night. A cloudless blue sky overhead at Safeco Field. The roof is open, much to the delight of Robinson Cano, the 3rd highest batting average in all of Major League Baseball, and a much-needed offensive player, Joe, for a Seattle club that struggles to score runs, something Alex Wood hopes to continue in Game 1 here tonight. New look at the top of the order. It's a one-off leadoff assignment for Emilio Bonifacio. Couple of things in play. Number 1, Bonifacio hits right-handed pitchers very well. And number 2, B.J. Upton's 3 for 31 lifetime against King Felix. LaStella, Freeman, Upton, Hayward, Gaddis the DH, Johnson, Gerald Laird, and Andrelton Simmons the shortstop will bat 9th.
And there is Felix Hernandez making his 24th start of the year. 28 years old, 6'3", 225 out of Venezuela. His last 7 starts against National League teams in interleague play, not too shabby. 4-0 with a 121. And that walks to strikeouts is just in keeping with his overall numbers for the year. 31 walks to 178 strikeouts on the year in 165 innings. He also, like Clayton Kershaw, so similar, just that he's right-handed. Kershaw had given up 6 homers. Hernandez has given up 6 homers, but only 3 in his last 18 starts. His 4 keys to pitching success tonight. Number 1, cambio. He's got a great changeup to go with his mid-90s fastball and aggressive dominance. He comes right after you. He doesn't mess around. He wants you to put you away either by strikeout or an early ground ball pop-up or the like.
So Bonifacio's ready to go, and we are underway. It's a strike. That is the King's Court. Those are the Felix Hernandez fans. They all come to the games in their bright yellow shirts. Got the big bass drum out there, too. As Bonifacio skies one towards center, that's Austin Jackson. He's one of the new Mariner acquisitions. He came over from the Tigers, and Jackson puts that away, and we're underway in the great Pacific Northwest.
One of the things we'll talk about as we go along is the lack of offensive production from their outfield. That was one of the things they tried to address at the trade deadline by getting Jackson and Denorfia from the Padres. Denorfia in right field tonight.
Tommy La Stella takes a letter high strike. Tommy's had a solid road trip. He's 8 for 26 in the first 6 games. He starts play tonight at 289 for the year. There's the breaking ball. Look at the King's Court left.
When he gets to 2 strikes, that'll be going on all night long.
He'll have to wait for another pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Hard to believe, but he's already in his 9th year in the big leagues. Cy Young Award winner in 2010, with perfect game in 2012.
And there's his first strikeout. La Stella didn't get the slider at the shoe tops. And there's out number 2 in the opening inning.
Came down and in a couple of times. And then that one just right at the back of the plate. 90 miles an hour, by the way, on that pitch.
Here's Freddie Freeman, Braves first baseman, at 282. It's nothing but strikes seemingly from Hernandez in the opening inning. Ground ball to first. That should be easy, and it is for Logan Morrison, the former Marlin. Felix Hernandez off to a quick start. 1, 2, 3, and out go the Braves. Alex Wood will try to answer in the home first after this. Way to Seattle for this series with the Mariners. Cool, refreshing weather. Boy, has that been a treat for us. After hot, muggy weather in Southern California, Mariners have had trouble winning at home. They're 26-31 here at Safeco Field, and we'll get our first look at Austin Jackson in a Seattle uniform. He headlines Lloyd McClendon's starting lineup. He hits the Braves well, he hits left-handed pitching well, and he's hopefully going to be the tonic for Mariners fans for a sluggish offensive club.
Alex Wood is on the mound, and take a look at these numbers. In his 7 losses, the team has scored only 5 runs for him. That's absolutely amazing. This is as a starter, so he's got to have some run support to have a chance. His last start of beauty, as we told you, against the Dodgers. His keys to pitching success tonight, well, that has to do with Austin Jackson. Not only has he hit the Braves well, but we'll tell you about Alex's problems with leadoff hitters, and boy, has he been facing some aces. He's been getting the bad draw.
Jackson 4 homers, 33 knocked in. They got a 270 average. Lloyd McClendon knows him very well. Lloyd, of course, was a coach with the Tigers for so many years, and that's where Jackson used to play. And he's thrilled to death to have this kid leading off in Seattle.
Leadoff men against Alex Wood, hitting .417 against him and a .472 on base percentage. Another thing we got to watch tonight, Chip, is the stamina part for Alex Wood. He was at the doctor all day yesterday battling flu bug, and they had him hooked up to try to get some fluids back in him. But he declared himself okay and ready to pitch tonight. But how deep he can go into this ball game will depend on how long the innings are with respect to his energy level.
Jackson ready for a 6th pitch. And it's hit third. As Johnson's got it on a big hop and toss across in time for out number 1. Here's Dustin Ackley. He's the Mariners left fielder. .255 average, 6 homers, 37 driven in. And for a Seattle club, Joe, that again isn't scoring many runs, it isn't this guy's fault. He's maybe their hottest hitter since the break.
Yeah, 379 mark since the All-Star break. We'll be drawing a lot of comparisons between the two teams. But how about this one? Since they last met in Atlanta when the Mariners won both games, Seattle's gone 26-26. Braves have gone 27-27. Neither team scoring any runs. Both teams pitching well and playing good defense.
And both teams at the moment 2 games out of the wild card in their respective league. So ball and 2 strikes for Ackley. First round pick in 2009. He was the 2nd overall selection in that draft. Little tapper back to the mound. Woods got it and gets his man easily for out number 2. This is a notorious great pitcher's park. Heavy air, big dimensions. And good to see Alex getting the ball on the ground here, but you can make a living in the air in this place too. It's 401 feet to straightaway center. 331 down the left field line, 326 down the right field line.
But they did move the fences in from the left field line to the 401 mark roughly. They moved them in about 4 feet from what they were. And that area out in left center that was a notorious dead area. You just couldn't crack one out to left center to save your life over that Mariner logo. They moved that in about 7 feet. So it's a little friendlier than it used to be.
This man doesn't need any help. He can hit in any park, in any situation. A .330 average, 2nd in the American League. and 62 runs batted in for CANO. Little roller right off his knuckles, and Alex Wood matches King Felix with a 1-2-3. Bottom of the first inning. The duel is on in Seattle. We have no score after one. Enjoying the ball game tonight at Safeco Field. They'll be taking us home safe and sound, hopefully after a Braves series sweep tomorrow afternoon. Time for our Home Depot tools from the dugout as we move to the second inning of play. Let's check out what's up with the Braves since June 27th.
18 wins, a lot of runs. That stands to reason. Good average. Losses, not so much. The Braves have been losing a lot of one-run games. In fact, they are 0-9 in their last 9 one-run games. And that average with runners in scoring position really standing out in this 6-game losing streak. They're just 10 for 59. Time to put an end to that streak.
There you go. Justin Upton, the team leader in homers and RBIs, and a .284 batting average. Takes an outside corner strike. Breaking ball hammered down the left field line. That ball is going to be fair, and it's going to bounce over the fence for a ground rule double. So there's a start for the Braves. A leadoff two-bagger for Justin Upton.
I'm not sure if that was a changeup or a slider. Looked like a hanger, and boy, Justin didn't miss it. Good start to the inning with a ground rule double. He's 8 for 24 on this road trip.
And as Jen Hildreth reported, the hottest hitter for the Braves might be Jason Hayward. He's been swinging the bat beautifully the last couple of games for Atlanta. Let's see if he can chase home Upton and give the Braves an early lead. Zunino, a nice block, saved a base. 1 ball, no strikes.
I think it was crystal clear in those 2 games, especially in Los Angeles, Chip, that against Greinke, against Kershaw, and certainly against Felix Hernandez, when you get opportunities, you've got to cash in. You've got to get that guy over and get him in. Remember, the Braves had chances in the 9th inning against both Greinke and Kershaw and couldn't capitalize, but it was too little too late.
So the Braves on the trip, 10 for 59 with runners in scoring position. This is their first chance in that statistical area tonight.
Big hook there. Slow curveball, acted like a change-up for him at 81 miles an hour.
That's in the dirt, and the count even 2-2. Well, this Seattle staff is more than just King Felix. Hernandez, Iwakuma, and Chris Young, the top ERA trio among all American League starters. And the Braves will face Young here tomorrow afternoon. There's another breaking ball, and Hayward can't advance Upton. Second strikeout for Felix.
Since Jason came back from that back injury, he's been right on everything. Not there. That's just his third strikeout in that stretch where he's been hitting the ball hard.
Evan Gattis is the hitter. He hit a home run against the Mariners back in Atlanta. As Joe mentioned, the DH tonight. Gattis has 3 hits on the trip. Couple of doubles and a single. And he looks low at ball 2.
Well, Zunino's going to wear out a pair of shin guards tonight. He's had to go to the dirt several times already.
Grounder over Doug DeCenzo, and Gattis now a 2-2 count.
That Kings Court down there is like college students with the excitement they bring to a game.
Yeah, imagine Cameron Indoor Stadium for the Duke fans.
It's a tough seat for those Atlanta fans.
2-2. Strike 3 outside corner.
Fastball. Two-seamer. Got it to come back a little bit, and he got the call from Pat Hoberg. Borderline pitch.
And now the inning rests in the hands of Chris Johnson. Justin Upton in second with 2 outs. And a ball outside.
Hernandez got beat in his last start by Cleveland. He went his 7 innings, gave up his 2 runs, but lost. Bullpen really got shelled after he came out. Final score was 11-3.
Gerald Laird on deck. Chris didn't get the heat. Broken bat liner into left field. That's a base hit. Ackley is up. He bobbles the ball, and Upton will score without a play. Chris Johnson on a 2-1 count delivers a big 2-out hit, and the Braves have struck first. That is a huge hit.
It's a huge hit, and nobody more thrilled about that than Jason Hayward and Evan Gattis. He picks them up. Sinker down and in, and Ackley ready to come up throwing. Had a play if he makes an accurate throw, but he couldn't get a grip on the baseball. Big hit for Chris.
So Atlanta strikes first. Here's Gerald Laird. And he rolls to the shortstop. Flip to second in time, and that retires the side. Justin Upton doubled. After a couple of strikeouts, Chris Johnson comes through with a 2-out hit, and Alex Wood has an early 1-0 lead.
Braves fans have to think what we just saw from Chris Johnson is pretty beautiful too. Johnson in facing Felix Hernandez for the first time in his career, coming through, giving the Braves the early lead. And I talked to Chris about what the team needs to do to try to snap out of this losing streak, and he said, you basically just have to clear your mind. Guys are trying to do too much. We're thinking too much about what we need to do with runners in scoring position or how we need to make the perfect play in the field. He said we just have to do our jobs and play. And Jason Hayward kind of echoed the same thing, guys. He said, guys are trying so hard. We've got to trust each other as a team to get this done.
So thank you, Jen. Great report. I would imagine for a team that's going through that mental anguish, Joe, the off day came at a perfect time for the Braves yesterday.
It couldn't have come at a better time for a team that's scuffling to just kind of hit the reset button and come out fresh today to get started. I agree with Chris, and what Jen found was ideal in that anytime you're losing, everybody wants to do more than they're really capable of doing, and everybody starts putting more pressure on themselves to do that. Pitchers know they're not going to get many runs to work with, so they're trying to make perfect pitches, and they get into jams, maybe start walking people. Kind of snowballs on everyone.
This is KENDRYS Morales, a former Mariner who didn't sign a long-term contract with Seattle when one was offered, then turned down a qualifying offer from Seattle, and then wasn't signed until June by the Minnesota Twins. They then traded him to Seattle to help bolster this Mariner offense. Pop to shallow left field where Andrelton Simmons grabs it, and Morales is the fourth straight Mariner retired by Alex Wood.
This is one of those key innings. Talked about it. Early runs would really be a big boost for Alex. He's gotten one, and now go out and have a shutdown inning. Get your offense back up there that would come to bat with a little confidence against Felix Hernandez.
He'll face Mariner All-Star Kyle Seager, team leader in RBIs with 67. He's also hit 16 homers. Didn't realize this until I read it in the notes, but he's the first Mariner third baseman to make the All-Star team since Edgar Martinez.
Good company. The Mariners have a losing record at Safeco Field. That's hard to believe too with this good pitcher's ballpark. They're 5 games under 500 at home. Seager, on the other hand, has had a great year going at home. He's hitting .345 at home, 13 of his 16 homers, and on the road you see they're .211.
Pitch just missed. How close was this?
Our PNC pitch tracks. It wasn't low.
Fly ball lifted toward left. Late break for Justin, but he's going to get there. And Seager skies out. 5 up, 5 down for Alex Wood. And here's Chris DeNorvia, a man that's very familiar with Braves pitching. He's the former Padre acquired by Seattle at the deadline.
Traded right before Atlanta got to San Diego for that recent 3-game series, and looking for his first hit as a Mariner.
He's 0 for 7 in Seattle, and a lifetime .299 hitter against left-handed pitching.
He's also 3 for 3 in his career against Alex Wood.
Three in a row have missed, with Logan Morrison waiting on deck. Two-out walk brings the Seattle first baseman to the plate. That's the Mariners' first base runner of the game. Braves fans know all about Logan Morrison. He came over for Carter Capps just before Christmas last year. Logan, a lifetime .249 hitter in the big leagues. They thought he was going to be a superstar in Miami after he hit 23 home runs in 2011. But injuries have really sidetracked his career. Most games he's played since 2011 is 93. Close play at first.
Boy, that was very close. Kind of a little flat-footed. Eight out of 9 in stolen bases for the Padres.
Injury is a problem for Morrison again this year. This is only his 53rd game. He missed 52 games with a strained right hamstring from April 15th to June 11th. He's playing in his 53rd. He's missed 52.
He signed Corey Hart in the offseason too, and Corey Hart missed all of last year with some knee problems, and back on the DL again this week.
That's a shame about Corey Hart, man. When he was in Milwaukee playing the outfield, playing some first base, that guy had superstar written all over him.
And was a good leadoff man for a guy his size.
Too tight. 2 balls and a strike. Mariners' leading home run hitter is the man on deck, Mike Zunino, the catcher. It's Chris Denorfia. He's getting a good lead at first with 2 outs. And now 3 balls and a strike, and Laird out for a visit.
That's a good trip. It could have come a little sooner than that, to go out and bend his ear a little bit about why did you all of a sudden get so fine and careful. 5 up, 5 down, all put the ball in play.
And now the pitch is piling up for Alex. Again, don't know how much gas is in the tank tonight. 3 balls and a strike. And ball 4. 2 are on, 2 are out. Back-to-back walks. He's gone to a 3-ball count in each of the last 3 Mariner hitters. And he's thrown ball 1 to the last 5 Seattle men in a row. And now he's got trouble with the catcher up. 17 homers for Zunino, but only a .208 batting average.
He'd only walked 3 total in his last 3 starts. And 2 of those were in that outing at Los Angeles.
First pitch popped up out of play over the Seattle dugout. I was surprised he was swinging there after Wood walked the last 2 men. Right, he did. Powerful catchers in this series in Seattle.
Both of them just one behind the all-star Devin Mesoraco of Cincinnati, who's having a career year for himself.
That's foul past Rich Donnelly, the Seattle third base coach. And Wood ahead of Zunino. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Zunino was the 3rd overall pick in 2012's draft. He's a Florida Gator, if memory serves. And he just struck out. Alex Wood walked a pair, but Seattle leaves a couple of runners on. Wood has his shutdown inning, and the Braves go back to work against King Felix, enjoying a 1-0 lead. Signing Freddie Couples.
Wouldn't be a bad idea. Great athlete, great golfer, big baseball fan.
And what a treat for him as Alex Wood and King Felix square off in Game 1 of the series. Don't miss our 5th annual Alumni Weekend this weekend when the Braves take on the Nationals. It's presented by AT&T. The Braves alumni roll call on the field before the game Friday, and great opportunities for autographs all weekend long. Join us early on Saturday for the pregame Legends softball game And for tickets, visit Braves.com today. Greg Maddux, Phil Niekro, Javi Lopez, Brian Jordan, Ryan Klesko, and Chipper Jones are all scheduled to appear. Can't wait to see all of them and all of you at Turner Field Friday night. Andrelton Simmons, the 9th place hitter for the Braves this evening. DH in effect. And Joe, we got to get this guy going at the plate.
Well, I knew his average had been taking a hit. It's down to 249. He's 2 for 17 on this road trip. But until I saw the numbers on his first half, second half splits, I had no idea that it had sunk that low. A 148 average in the second half. And just a 233 on base percentage. He's better than that.
Ground ball toward Taylor at short. He gloves, grabs, and guns across in time. 1 out. Taylor earned his promotion with a great offensive year at AAA. We'll talk about that when he leads off the Mariners' 3rd inning. Back to the top we go, and Emilio Bonifacio, he popped out to Austin Jackson to start the game. And a strike. Emilio 1 for 5 as a Brave, and now 1 for 9 against King Felix. And slashed into the second deck foul. It's 0-2 still. To the left side and past Seager. It's a base hit for Bonifacio. That's the second Atlanta hit. Let's see if he's going to do some running in the 3rd inning.
Zunino's got a good arm, and he's been very successful at throwing out base stealers if he does. Nice piece of hitting here. Fastball running away from him, and he stayed right on it. Took it the other way. Zunino 30% on catching base stealers. That's a good number.
So a couple of options for Freddie here. Speed at first, a contact man at the plate. And Tommy La Stella, who takes the ball low. A rare strikeout of La Stella his first time up. For the 28th time Tommy struck out in 219 at bats. Does have a good hook tonight.
Good backdoor breaking ball. Looks like Hoberg's got a pretty generous strike zone across the board horizontally. I'm not so sure vertically.
Runner goes, swing and a miss. Zunino's throw is high. And Emilio overslid the second base bag and had to jab that right foot back at the last moment because Taylor was coming in with a tag try. It's stolen base, and Bonifacio in scoring position with 1 out.
Emilio, as he went over the bag head first, good crossover step, good jump. He's looking out to see if the ball goes out into the outfield. That's where he was looking, thinking he might be able to take another base. And that may have been why he pulled his foot off the base to begin with.
So another chance for the Braves with a man in scoring position. They're 1 for 3 in that situation so far tonight. STELLA couldn't pull the trigger. Hernandez had him handcuffed. And on the appeal, no swing.
PNC pitch tracks off the plate. Good call there. It's just a matter of whether or not he swung or not. And Ed Hickok's down at third base said no.
And STELLA draws a walk. So Atlanta has men at first and second with one out. And Freddie Freeman is the hitter.
That start against Atlanta here 3 years ago, the Braves really wore him out. Freddie was one of the guys who did some damage. 3 for 4 off of him that day.
That was a great series for the Braves. They beat Michael Pineda, they beat Felix Hernandez, and I think they beat Eric Bedard.
That's right.
3-game sweep by the Braves here in Seattle. Quickly 0-2 for Freddie. And King Felix got him to swing and miss. That's his 4th strikeout. 2 on now, 2 out for Upton, who doubled to left.
That makes Freddie 4 for 23 on this road trip. And teams have been pitching him backwards like this almost the whole road trip. Now, granted, they've been excellent pitchers, but a lot of breaking balls early in the count that he has been swinging and missing at or fouling off, and then putting him away with fastballs usually up in the zone, and their efforts trying to get up and in, but that one was up and away. He's been whiffing on a lot of breaking stuff.
Better high fastball. Upton took it. To the right side. Morrison's got it with the right hand, and he'll step on the bag, and that retires the side. Braves got 2 on with 1 out. Freeman and Upton can't bring home Bonifacio or STELLA in a 1-0 game.
Delta Airlines, and Ford.
Beautiful look at the Puget Sound here in Seattle. That's one of the new architectural features. They call that the Big Wheel. Great tourist attraction right down by the water. I'm sure a lot of the Braves fans took advantage of that. Time for you now to tweet your photo using hashtag SouthFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by AT&T. So here's the aforementioned Chris Taylor, who had a marvelous year at Tacoma. 63 runs in 75 games. He hit .328 at AAA.
He might be here a while. It's a high draft choice, 5th round pick out of the University of Virginia. And when they signed him, they sent him to short season rookie ball in Everett, Washington. He wasn't there long. He hit .328 there. Went to Clinton, Iowa, hit .304 to finish up the 2012 season. Last year at High Desert, which is high A, hit .335. They sent him to Jackson.
To center. Bonifacio still going back. That's over his head, and that's going to bounce over the fence. Whoa, that ball really jumped. And Taylor's in scoring position for Seattle.
He had .293 then at AA, and this year, as Chip said, he was tearing it up at Tacoma, hitting .328 there, and that ball did jump. But he's hit at every level. Breaking ball too, and he stayed back on it.
So Austin Jackson will take his second look at Alex Wood. Runner at second, nobody out. Pop fly foul out of play. That's one thing Jack Zarensik has done since taking over as the general manager of this Mariners club. He has really had to rebuild their farm system. They've had a lot of high draft picks, and there's some of them, Joe, that he just simply would not trade and will not trade. Nick Franklin was one he did. Franklin went in the deal that brought Jackson from Detroit. But the frustrating thing for the Mariners fans is all these kids who hit in college, who hit in the minor leagues, haven't hit yet at the big league level for the last couple of years.
Yeah, there's been some disappointment there in that side of things. And again, prospects are no guarantee that that's going to translate to success in the big leagues. You've got a guy like Taylor that's hit 300 or better at every level. You have to figure this guy's got something pretty good. And so far, so good. His overall average in the minor leagues, .316. With a .411 on base percentage.
Jackson behind 0-2. Pickoff play and a close play. Anderson Simmons thought he got Taylor. Or maybe that handcuffed him at second base, or maybe he's buying time to take another look.
He caught the ball right on his side. He got his hand in there, I don't know.
Freddie Gonzalez. Freddie Gonzalez may want to come challenge this call. Andrelton Simmons thought he got the tag in time. Andrelton Simmons bought some time for Horacio Ramirez in the clubhouse to look at that replay. And now Freddie Gonzalez is going to challenge the call at second base and see if there's enough evidence to overturn a safe call on a pickoff play.
See where his hand is, diving back to the bag. May have hit Andrelton's foot.
Oh.
And then a second reach for it. Again, I don't know if that's enough to overturn it.
So there must be clear and convincing evidence to overturn the call on the field, which was that Taylor did get back safely at second base on the play. While New York ponders the outcome of the play at second base, here's a better look.
I don't know. There's where his hand's going back for a more solid grab of the bag, but if his hand originally got to the base, then he's probably safe. So, on that look, I think he's out. I mean, the second time I see it, I think he's out. Throw was right on his body. He caught the ball right on his body, so he didn't have to move the glove. I mean, the throw and the tag were one and the same. Brian Gorman is the second base umpire. Ed Hickox, the crew chief. Hickox on the right.
The verdict is in, and the call on the field is confirmed. Whether there was not enough evidence to change the call or if he was simply safe, the outcome is still the same. Taylor's at second with nobody out. The count 0-2 for Austin Jackson. So the Braves lose their replay challenge the rest of the way tonight. Replay took about 2 minutes and 15-16 seconds. And Jackson will try to get Taylor to third at the very least. 1-0 Atlanta. Chris Johnson with a 2-out hit in the Braves' second. Brought home Justin Upton. And a ball high, 2-2.
Again, it seems that east and west he's giving some corners, but Hoberg has not called anything at the bottom of the zone and didn't give Alex that one at the top.
From a 2-strike count to a full count now. Woods already walked 2. He's struck out 1. Swing and a miss. Jackson can't advance the runner. He is struck out swinging. Big first out of the inning.
2 big strikeouts, both on the same tight pitch and both at key spots. You got Zunino in the last inning with runners aboard and now trying to prevent the leadoff double from advancing. He strikes out Austin Jackson on another hook.
Ackley tapped back to the mound. The man in left field that handled the Chris Johnson base hit and bobbled the ball, ruling out any chance he had to make a play on Upton, who scored standing up. All help accepted against King Felix tonight. Center, Bonifacio nearly charged too hard. He had to make an adjustment at the last moment on Ackley's shot to center. 2 outs.
We could see from our vantage point, Chip, how this ball really started to slice. And that may have been one of the things that gave him some trouble, and the fact that he didn't think it was hit as hard as it was.
You can pick your poison here. Do you want Cano or do you want Morales? Base is open, 2 outs in a 1-run game. Cano Grounded out softly to first in the first for Seattle. Were you surprised he came to Seattle as a free agent?
I was. Huge money, though. Big, big, big money. And it's not like he was coming to an organization that didn't have something going for it, that had a chance to win. They did. Good pitch, right on his hands again.
And Alex going right after Robbie Cano and has him in a 2-strike hole.
Like so many left-handed hitters, he's good on anything down and in, and just dropping the barrel on it. So they tied him up upstairs.
Didn't get the outside corner.
PNC Bank pitch tracks. A little wide. Can't believe he didn't swing at that.
Outside, Cano took it for ball 2.
I think I'd try to paint that outside corner again with a fastball. He laid off one. I don't know if he'd have the patience to do it again.
Big hole left side if you pitch outside. And Cano slices one toward left center field. Bonifacio on the run, gets there to Rob Cano. A great running catch preserves a 1-run Atlanta lead. Alex Wood is through 3, outdueling King Felix in Seattle. Johnson in the second. The Mariners' bid to tie it was thwarted by a great running catch by Emilio Bonifacio. Trivia time. Our AT&T U-verse trivia question. Felix Hernandez is one of 2 Mariners pitchers since 2000 with 18 or more wins and an ERA under 3.10 in a season. Name the other Mariner with those numbers.
Jamie Moyer.
That's an excellent guess. He had a couple of great years out here in Seattle. Maybe the best year in Seattle history was 2001 when they won the West with 116 wins. Imagine a year like that.
I think it was second only to the old Cleveland Indians record of maybe 120.
Those were some of the glory years of the Mariner franchise when Lou Piniella was the skipper here. And Lou Piniella will be honored this weekend as Hayward tops one. It's a bouncing ball right side that'll skip foul and out of play. Lou Piniella will be inducted into the Seattle Mariners Hall of Fame this weekend when the White Sox come to town.
I was pleasantly surprised to learn that he had been here, he managed here 10 years and helped forge a lot of success.
Yeah, when he got to Seattle in 1993, baseball was in big trouble in the Pacific Northwest. But that changed very, very quickly. When you think about the Mariner clubs they had here with Dan Wilson, Tino Martinez, Omar Vizquel, Edgar Martinez, Ken Griffey Jr., Randy Johnson, Jay Buhner. Some really talented ball clubs. 2 balls, 2 strikes for Jason Hayward, who struck out in the second. Another chance for Morrison, but it's fouled and out of play. Good news for the Braves tonight. The Mets helped us out. They beat the Nationals handily. Washington can't get any traction in the East either. So a chance for Atlanta to pick up a game if they can win Game 1 in Seattle tonight.
That's why I said what I did in our opening comments. A 6-game losing streak stinks. Don't get me wrong. But the National League West division or National League East division is so weak right now. Nobody's running off and playing good baseball. So don't panic.
That's lined toward the King's court. And on the fringes of it, out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Strike 3, inside corner at the knees. That's 5 strikeouts for Hernandez. 183 now for the season.
And his best fastball of the night, I think, 94. He was a low strike given.
Here's Gaddis, Braves DH. He was caught looking in the second inning. And world foul out of play. We mentioned a couple of times that Felix Hernandez was the Cy Young Award winner in 2010. You know what his one-loss record was that year?
I know that it wasn't very good.
13-12. But a 2.27 ERA, 34 starts, 1 out shy of 250 innings. He struck out a career high 232 men. Allowed only 63 earned runs in 249 innings. Gaddis was off stride but drove it deep to center, and Jackson's back a few steps. He'll put it away for the second out. I don't know, but I would think that might be the lowest winning percentage for a Cy Young Award winner in recent memory, if not all time. 13-12 that year.
Yeah, it might be. I know too that he's got 6 or 7 seasons of 200+ innings and 200+ strikeouts.
He's truly an ace. And a ground ball to third. Nice pick. And a perfect peg to first takes care of Chris Johnson. The Braves are out in order in the 4th. Morales, Seager, and Denorfia coming up for the Mariners. They trail Alex Wood by a run. Their 6-game losing streak tonight. When we get back home, multi-platinum group Weezer will perform in the Braves Summer Concert Series Tuesday, August 12th. That's presented by Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines. Stay after the game for a free concert. Limited VIP field passes are available for the show for only $20. Act fast. Go to Braves.com/concerts today.
As you said, a lot of Braves fans here tonight.
They've got bragging rights over the Kings court because Atlanta leads 1-0. Alex Wood's pitching a Butte. He has stranded 3 Mariner runners. And he'll face the 4, 5, and 6 hitters in the inning, starting with KENDRYS Morales. Hammered down the left field line. Did he keep it fair? He didn't. He had the distance, but he pulled it just foul.
A little too quick, but he mashed it.
Ball towards second. STELLA gives ground. It rolled up the palm of his glove, but he stayed with it. And Morales is 0 for 2 after nearly tying the game.
Yeah, nice pitch there nice pitch call by Gerald Laird. Nice execution by Alex. Took a little bit off.
Hit with a pitch. Kyle Seager will take first.
breaking ball that just didn't do anything.
That's not the hit by pitch heard round the world. That took place between the Diamondbacks and the Pirates, with Andrew McCutchen getting hit by a pitch. McCutchen's got a bad side. Not on the DL yet, but may have to go there for Pittsburgh. Here's Denorfia. And he takes a strike.
Yeah, originally they thought it was an oblique strain. It was definitely going to cause a DL stint, and then they decided against it, said there was some kind of avulsion. An avulsion. There you go. In the rib cage area.
Line drive up the middle by Denorfia. His good work against lefties continues. And now Seattle has a fourth inning threat, first and second with one out. They are hitless so far with runners in scoring position.
First base hit and an M's uni. Andy Van Slyke, the first base coach for the Mariners.
So Logan Morrison becomes the key man in the inning. He walked in the second. Two on, one out. And fouled at the plate. Strike one. That's too tight, even count. Morrison has a hit in 6 the last 7 games he has played for Seattle. He hits that ball the other way cleanly. Here comes Seager around third. Justin Upton up. His throw all over everybody's head and all the way to the backstop. And the Mariners have tied the game and now have men at second and third with one out.
And somehow, some way on that play, Andrelton Simmons hurt himself at third base. He's trying to walk it off, and I don't know if he was watching the play and got to the third base bag and rolled his ankle or what he did. But it wasn't pretty. Almost as ugly as that throw.
He's pointing to his left ankle. You know about Andrelton and the shoulder problems he's been dealing with. Now an ankle problem on the base hit to left by Logan Morrison.
Well, he's had an ankle that's been bothering him virtually all season long, but this one was just slapped through the hole. Now here's Andrelton coming over to cover at third base, and he wasn't watching where the bag was, and he stepped on the bag funny. He may have rolled his ankle on it. He does not want to come out of the game, but they're not going to give him his glove.
Andrelton Simmons not going to be allowed to continue in the game. When Jeff Porter takes the glove, that means your night's done. And Andrelton Simmons will walk off under his own power, but noticeably limping toward the Braves dugout. And Seattle continues to hit here in the 4th inning. So Ramiro Pena is going to have to check in and play shortstop.
Just an accident. Just one of those weird things that happens, that he was hustling over to do his job and cover at third base since Chris Johnson was the cutoff man and was not looking at the base. So
Seattle has tied the game in the 4th. And after the bad throw, they've got runners at second and third.
Right here, you'll get a good look at this. Yeah, he went over the top of the bag and rolled it.
So here's Mike Zunino, the team leader in homers. And he had a big cut and didn't get it. Zunino has more extra base hits than singles this year for Seattle. That's a statistical oddity. 17 of his 34 extra base hits have been homers. Way high from Wood. 1 ball, 1 strike. No error was charged on that throw from Justin Upton. For keeping score at home.
How could there not be?
In the dirt, Laird smothered it just enough to keep it close. Now, Morrison doesn't have great speed. He was stopping at first, but took second when that ball went all the way to the backstop.
Well, it wasn't a hard read for either he or Denorfia when it was airmailed. They saw the height of the throw, but still, that kind of throw allowing the runners to move up is error in itself. Another breaking ball to Zunino that he swung over the top of.
And he likes to swing. 110 strikeouts, only 11 walks this year. And he's got 2 strikes. He's a big out to get if he can get it. And that ball missed low. It's a full count. The shortstop and 9th place hitter Chris Taylor's on deck. Seattle's tied it in the 4th. SEC pitching matchup here. The Georgia Bulldog versus the Gator. And how about that dog? He just struck out Zunino for the 2nd out of the inning.
Like a changeup and a butte. Yeah, perfect spot too. Down and out of the zone. Boy, is that a big out. Now the pitcher spot's due up, right?
We wish. Especially the way this kid's swinging the bat. Taylor's doubled to center, and with that in mind, Bonifacio's backed up about 5 steps in center. And Wood missed outside. He's got Jackson on deck. 2 outs, 2 on. 1-1 game in the 4th. Popped him up. Right side. LaStella out and under. And he dropped the ball. 2 runs are going to score. Hayward was there. LaStella had it pop out of the glove. And Seattle gets a 2-run gift.
Jason Hayward's got to take control there. He was in the vicinity. He's the best player on that side of the diamond defensively. And it's too tough a play for Tommy going out.
So Seattle gets a 3 spot in the 4th. And the Justin Upton throw looms large as well. Only the first error of the inning, could have been 2. And it's a 3-1 Seattle lead for Jackson. And now for Alex Wood. He thought he was out of the inning with a tie. Now he's got to buckle down and get after Jackson.
I'm going to have to assume that it is twilight here. I'm going to have to assume maybe Jason didn't pick that ball up right away, because that's one that he usually is clearing the decks, getting people out of the way on to come get it.
Ground ball up the middle, base hit to center. Here comes Taylor around third. He'll score the 4th run of the inning. And this is where you don't want to be when you face Seattle. When they score 4 runs or more, they're 41-10, and they've got King Felix, their ace, pitching tonight.
It's just a doggone crime. Should have been out of the inning, tied 1-1. .34th RBI for the leadoff man, combined between Detroit and here.
So the 2 newest Mariners having a big hand in this big inning. Denorfia with a hit, Jackson with a big hit. And a big inning for Seattle. 4 runs on 3 hits and an error. A hit batsman too. And here's Dustin Ackley. He's 0 for 2. Told you Ackley, the number 2 overall pick in the 09 draft. Steven Strasburg was the number 1 pick that year. Fly ball to deep left. Upton's back onto the running track. Near the wall, he'll have room. And that retires the side. Big inning for Seattle. Atlanta's defense certainly helped them along tonight. 4 runs, 3 hits, a big error, and a hit batsman. And we head to the 5th inning. Felix Hernandez now a big lead. The lead. We head to the top of our 5th inning. All year long, Braves baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the low price every day. Facing a man the talent of Felix Hernandez, you cannot afford to make mistakes, either at the plate or in the field. And that has been the case for Atlanta in tonight's ball game. A costly error led to 3 unearned runs charged to Alex Wood, and now a 4-1 Mariners lead. In the 5th, Laird, Simmons, and Bonifacio are coming up. Of all the Braves hitters in the lineup tonight, Laird has seen King Felix the most, and he's done good work against him. He's 6 for 21 now in his career.
In case you're wondering, he leads 4-1. The last time he gave up 4 runs in a game was May 12th against Tampa Bay here, and he won the game 12-5.
Fly ball center. Jackson in a couple of steps. Now back 2 or 3. He's got it. And Laird is out number 1.
Let's go back to that pop-up hit by Taylor. Now watch as you see Jason break on it. He did pick it up. He's coming in, but now he'll take a glance right there. He started to stop already when he saw Tommy getting close. But if Jason keeps coming hard, he's going to get there to make that catch. And one that you know he's kicking himself over right now. That's one he usually makes.
So Ramiro Pena now the hitter. Remember, he checked in for Andrelton Simmons, who turned an ankle in that agonizing bottom of the 4th. No word yet.
Another bad part of that inning.
And there's the hook. 0-2. That's back out of play, foul, and Pena still alive. What a treat it is for baseball fans in Seattle to be able to experience evening baseball in this beautiful weather with the roof open. It wasn't always the case.
Oh, that was part of the problem with the Kingdome, was that on beautiful nights like this, people didn't want to go outside. This is such a healthy, outdoorsy, active area. The last thing they wanted to do was go inside a concrete building.
One-two pitch. Ground ball, foul at first. I believe they call this area of town Sodo, south of downtown or south of downtown. And if memory serves, where the football field is, where the Seahawks and Sounders play, that's where the Kingdome was.
Correct.
And when they knocked down the Kingdome, they built Safeco Field in the Kingdome parking lots, and then erected the football stadium, Century Link Field, right beyond the left field fence.
You know, the Seahawks played at University of Washington while their stadium was under construction.
In the air to right center field. Who wants this? It'll be Jackson. And there's the second out. There was some talk too that they might be getting an NBA team back here in Seattle. There was some word that the Sacramento Kings were going to be on the move and come back and become the Supersonics again, and either play at Key Arena, which is where they used to play, or a new basketball arena that could have been built in this general sports complex area in town. That obviously isn't going to come to pass anytime soon.
I know this. These are two awesome stadiums, side by side.
Bonifacio takes a ball. Well, I said earlier, and I mean this with no disrespect to the great players that the Mariners had, but think about the history of baseball in this town. Had Lou Piniella not come here, the passion he displayed and the showmanship he displayed as the manager here. He was, I think, Seattle's version of Bobby Cox, but in a totally different way.
Well, I'll give him all the credit that's due him, but there was also an owner that stepped in and helped save baseball here too. The chairman of Nintendo.
Little ground ball to first. Easy play for Morrison. And it's an easy game so far for Felix Hernandez. He is through 5. He's retired 8 straight. And his offense goes back to work, leading 4-1 in Game 1 at Safeco Field. Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. We were talking earlier about Robinson Cano. Let's not forget Tommy La Stella has been an on-base machine as well for the Braves at second base.
How about that for the kid to be in the company of Robinson Cano and Jose Altuve, who's been leading the American League in hits almost all year long.
Well, these are big games for the Braves and Mariners. It goes without saying. Both Atlanta and Seattle, 2 games out of the wild card in their respective leagues. Wild card leaders in the American League are the Angels and Toronto. The Yankees a game back, Kansas City a game and a half back, and Seattle 2 back. First pitch swing, driven deep left center field. Bonifacio back, and he makes another great catch. He robs Cano again. And look at Robinson staring out at Bonifacio. A great catch up against the fence.
This ball jumped off his bat, and Emilio took one quick look at the wall right there to make sure he had the room that he needed before he did the face plant. 2 terrific catches by him tonight.
So long, loud out begins the Seattle 5th. And here's KENDRYS Morales. It's an important stretch of games for Morales. He was offered a multi-year deal by the Mariners, turned down the qualifying offer. About $14 million, signed for roughly half of that. And was playing out the season again in Seattle. As you see Jack Zduriencik, the Mariners general manager. When he got here, the cupboard was awfully bare. There was not a lot in their farm system. They had some bad years. They've restocked. And now these young players, Zduriencik is banking on gelling all at once behind outstanding and overwhelmingly good starting pitching. He's added a few veterans in Jackson, DeNorfia, and Morales, who stands at first with 1 out.
Keep referring to 2 games out of the wild card. I believe that, in my opinion, that applies to the Mariners because they're 11 games out of first.
Right.
So they've got to know that they are close to a postseason spot in the wild card. I don't think that applies to the Braves right now. If this were late September and you were, already out of any chance to win the division, it'd be different. But Atlanta was only 2.5 out at this very moment. They could be 2 out if they come back and win this game. So I don't even think about the wild card at this point where they're concerned.
Right, and I'm not suggesting that that's what the Braves are shooting for, but as it stands now, as Seager takes outside, Braves are closer to the wild card than they are the division leader, with 3 games head-to-head with Washington coming up this weekend. It's just amazing how similar these two teams are, playing geographically about as far apart as you possibly can. There's back-to-back walks from Alex Wood as another Seattle threat brewing in the 5th inning.
That's what he did in the 2nd inning after getting 2 quick outs. Walked 2 and then was able to strike out Zunino. But CANO leads off the inning and rifles one to the wall in center, and all of a sudden he started picking again.
The Braves bullpen begins to stir at left. Again, you mentioned how much gas in the tank will there be for Alex Wood. He's approaching 90 pitches after being sick all day yesterday. He ought to have a 1-1 game right now. And Mike Minor is up and throwing in the bullpen. Remember, Mike will skip a start, will not go again until August 12th as he tries to straighten out his mechanical issues.
I thought that was a great idea. The only negative to that is that for him to get in a game and get some work in is usually a game where the Braves are going to be behind and they need some long relief.
And the thought process as well for the Braves with 2 off days this week, yesterday and Thursday. You can skip Mike and go through your rotation with relatively regular rest. 1-2 for Denorfia, 2 on, 1 out. And he swings and misses. Big pitch again for Alex. Boy, he's had runners all over the place with 2 outs. He's made some great tosses. And he strikes out the Seattle right fielder for out number 2.
Primarily with his off-speed stuff, either the breaking ball, as you see here, or the changeup. His breaking ball's been outstanding to the left, to the right-handed hitters.
And now Roger McDowell out to give Alex a bit of a breather. He's got Morrison coming up. Logan's walked, singled, and scored a run. Juan Jaime has joined Minor in the bullpen. Boy, look how close the fans are to the bullpen and left. That's amazing.
Yeah. All the way across there, even over the top of the Mariner bullpen too. There's a railing that has them shoulder to shoulder.
I don't think that was a stylistic cue from Wrigley Field, but it certainly works for the fans in left. That's a great bird's eye view of the home and visitors bullpen. What a place. What a great ballpark. Here's Morrison. 2 on, 2 out now. 5th inning. And the breaking ball missed. 1 ball, no strikes. Line to first, and Freddie Freeman's right there. Morrison flips the bat in disappointment. Alex Wood made another big pitch to strand a pair of Mariners runners. Here's your Delta Airlines on-deck trio, STELLA, Freeman, and Justin Upton. We go to the 6th. Mariners lead by 3. what a gorgeous night to see the moon rise and the Braves and Mariners play in Game 1 of this series.
What a day, what a night. Beautiful day yesterday on the off day. A lot of people took advantage of that. We had a bunch of our crew go kayaking in Puget Sound. Some of the folks, some of the guys went up on a drive up to Mount Rainier. And several others went over to the Seattle Seahawks football training camp and had a great time. They were treated like royalty over there.
So Felix Hernandez, Mariners royalty, starts the 6th inning with Tommy La Stella. I know for you this is a homecoming as well. You had a lot of great years here with the Mariners organization.
I always love coming back here. It's a great city, great people. And when the weather's like this, it's crazy how nice it is.
If there's a tinge of sadness for us personally, I know it's that our nearly and dearly departed friend Dave Niehaus is no longer with us, the longtime voice of the Mariners. As La Stella is called out on strikes, and he grumbles a bit. 2-strikeout game for Tommy, and King Felix set down 9 consecutive men.
Well, Tommy had a piece. That ball was moving back, coming back. But it didn't look like it got back to the strike zone on our PNC Bank pitch tracks.
Freeman jumps on the first pitch, drives it toward left center field, but it'll hang up for Austin Jackson. And there's out number 2 quickly.
There was a breaking ball that Freddie jumped on. Looked like one that was left upstairs.
Justin Upton's the only Brave to score tonight. It came in the 2nd inning. He led off with a double. After strikeouts of Hayward and Gaddis, Chris Johnson brought him home with a hit to left. Scored 14 runs so far on the road trip. And they're running into their 3rd Cy Young Award winner in those 7 games. Greinke, Kershaw, and now Felix Hernandez.
Hey, and the guy tomorrow's no slouch. Big old Chris Young is 9-6 on the year. No rest for the weary. Quick turnaround day game tomorrow.
Blistering fastball in on his hands.
4-run lead for him. Might as well be 10 on normal for a normal pitcher. I mentioned one of his keys is aggressive dominance. When he gets the lead, confidence goes up, and his aggressiveness does too.
Had been in the rocking chair behind the plate the last couple of innings. That time he took a shot on a ball in the dirt. And the count to Justin now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Inning over. 11 up, 11 down for Felix Hernandez. He has struck out 7. He's got Upton once in the ball game. Bottom of the order up for the Mariners in the home 6th. 4-1 game.
To cheer about here in the King's Court as Felix Hernandez is rocking, and amidst all the sea of yellow out here, we have some very brave Braves fans. Now, John and Stacy Tate came, and Stacy, I hear you were in for a little bit of a surprise when you got your tickets for tonight.
Just a little bit, yeah.
So you had no idea you were going to be in this?
No idea at all.
What'd you do with the shirt?
We didn't get any. We passed them over. They would have just been cleaning cloths if I took them home, so.
Well, these guys just moved from Florida. John, what is it like as a Braves fan sitting in this section?
It's a lot of fun. I get to hear a lot of interesting things, I guess you would say.
Yeah, it's interesting out here. And I can tell you this, guys. I have sat with the Cameron Crazies at Cameron Indoor Stadium. This is kind of similar. And I think these Braves fans, you're enjoying it. You're ready for a little more to cheer for on your side, though.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay, we're going to try to quiet the King's Court and maybe give our Braves fans something to yell about over all these yellow-clad people, huh?
Ah, you all are strangers in strange lands out there down the left field line. I love your answer.
Me too.
The King's Court shirt would have been a cleaning cloth back in Atlanta. Boy, that'll get you kicked out of Seattle if you say that too loud in public here. But you know, you played before these folks. These are passionate, baseball-loving fans.
Very knowledgeable fans, too. And long-suffering until things really got rolling.
Little bloop into shallow right field. That's a cue shot off the bat of Zunino. And that's the rarest of hits for the Seattle catcher. He has to stop at first base. It's a leadoff single.
Right off the end of the bat.
.32 singles to go with 34 extra base hits. And now Taylor's the batter.
They only have 5 hits. 3 came in that 4-run inning, but then so did a hit batsman and an error. He's walked 4, 2 in the second, 2 in the fifth, but none of those 4 scored.
That's up and in, a ball and a strike. Runner was going, and the pitch skied out of play by Taylor. It's now a ball and 2 strikes.
Remember when the Mariners were in Atlanta, Brad Miller was their shortstop. Great big rangy guy, but he's had a tough time of it. 90 games, he's only hit .199, and that's why Taylor forced the issue, getting called up from Tacoma, because his offensive numbers were terrific.
I would imagine as Woods strikes out Taylor on the inside corner. If you can hit it all, Seattle's going to give you a chance on the offensive side of the ball. It's the first time Taylor hasn't made contact tonight. Wood with a good pitch has his 5th strikeout.
With the offense being so flat across the board in both leagues, Chip, I think every organization is, if somebody steps up and starts swinging the bat pretty well, you're going to get a look-see. Tommy La Stella, a good example.
Here's Jackson, an RBI hit, broken bat, deflected towards second. La Stella caught it, stepped on the bag, and threw to first. That's an unconventional 1-4-3 double play. Jackson is doubled up, and that sends our game to inning number 7. Nice play up the middle by Tommy La Stella. It's a 4-1 Mariners lead in Game 1 at Safeco. Safeco Field. Jen Hildreth, Joe Simpson, Chip Carey with you. Game 1 of our series, a real treat for baseball fans everywhere watching this guy pitch. It's not a treat, though, for the Atlanta hitters. Hernandez has retired 11 straight. He has struck out 7 tonight and has scattered but 3 hits.
Yeah, if you like really good pitching, this is the road trip for you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you're a Braves fan, this is not the road trip for you because of the great pitching that they have seen. They've also worked some of their own good pitching in, but without any runs to support them, it hasn't been enough.
And again, in fairness to Alex Wood, it should be a 1-1 game.
Absolutely should.
But you can't do anything about that except try to come back with Jason Hayward, who has struck out twice. Check swing, roller toward third. Tough play. Seager makes it, and Morrison can't handle the throw at first. Infield hit sends King Felix to the stretch.
I didn't think Seager had any play at all, but if Morrison catches this cleanly, it's an out. Jason head down, running hard as always. Morrison basically just dropped that.
So Hayward's got a hit, and here's Evan Gattis. If he hits a long one, the Braves are right back in this thing. It's a 4-1 game. Ground ball third. One hop. Second one. Cano the turn. Double play. Look at Cano avoid big Jason Hayward at the second base bag. That was some artistry, and King Felix really admired the turn. It was pretty. 2 out.
The Mariners were taken infield today. Not traditionally old-fashioned infield, but they were on one side of the diamond or the other working on their double play combinations. And I was fascinated watching Robinson Cano take throws and deliver them from different angles, coming across the bag, behind the bag, and he's got a good arm too.
He was able to use the bag as a defensive barrier against Hayward on that play.
And he could do that because he has the good arm.
And quickly Chris Johnson behind. 0-2. James Russell's up in the Braves bullpen. We'll see if Wood continues into the home 7th. 4-1 Mariners lead. King Felix rolling along. Again to third. Seager's been busy, and a perfect peg to first sends us to the 7th inning stretch. It's 4-1 Mariners.
not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
It's a 4-1 game entering the bottom of the 7th inning in Seattle tonight. What's been a disappointing game for Atlanta's offense against King Felix? Well, one positive, the defensive work of Emilio Bonifacio in center.
Made a nice recovery there, saved a run with that running catch early in the ball game, and then off the bat of CANO, took away extra bases. Outstanding work in center field tonight.
And Emilio 1 for 3 at the plate with a stolen base, too. So the day is done for Alex Wood. 6 innings, a 5-hit, 4-run, 1 earned run ball. And he'll give way to James Russell.
Russell's in his 3rd game in an Atlanta uniform. An inning and 2/3, 2 hits, no runs, a walk and a strikeout. Can't say enough for Alex Wood again. 1 earned run. It would be a tie ball game right now, and that's despite the fact that he was sick all day yesterday on the off day. Came out and literally gutted it out for 6 innings.
So Russell has the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for Seattle coming up. Ackley, CANO, and Morales. Even count for Dustin Ackley.
How about that game in Philadelphia tonight? Astros and Phillies tied 1-1. They're in the 15th inning.
Pop fly foul out of play by Dustin Ackley. That's headed for the King's Court. I'll bet LA's having a ball.
They had played 7 innings in less than 2 hours. And then Houston tied the game. And now they're past the 4-hour mark.
Here's a number that might surprise you. If Houston wins that game, they'll have 1 less win than the Phillies do. Astros have won 3 straight games. They're 47-65.
How many wins for the Rangers?
43, and they've used the DL 23 times this year.
What a lost season for the Rangers.
Popped up. Pena drifts out. Justin Upton comes in. Pena says he's got it, and he does. And Ackley's retired for the first out. Well, we'll see Texas in interleague play. We will be heading down to Arlington September 12th, 13th, and 14th. That's at the end of a long road trip that takes us to Miami and Washington first. We just got word from the media relations department, a left ankle sprain for Andrelton Simmons. He will be reevaluated tomorrow. That's another big disappointment in tonight's ball game. You lose Simmons probably tomorrow as well.
And if you just joined us, it was because he was running over to cover third on a base hit. Chris Johnson was the relay man, and Andrelton went over to cover third but didn't look down at the base.
CANO beats one back through the box and into center field on an 0-2 count. So CANO, who entered the game hitting .330, has his first hit in 4 tries. And he'll stand at first in front of KENDRYS Morales.
I think one of the things that surprised me about seeing Robinson Cano in Atlanta was that he's a big guy. He's 6 feet tall, but he's listed at about 215. Really good size.
A strike to Morales. Little tapper left side. Pena fires to second for one. And the scoop at first is in time to retire Seattle. We head to the 8th inning. Russell with the scoreless frame. 4-1 Mariners. That is the Space Needle in Seattle, one of the unmistakable architectural landmarks of this beautiful city in the Pacific Northwest. Wish we had a beautiful score to report for you on our Mazda game summary after 7.
Yeah, Alex Wood pitched well enough to be tied in this game at this point, but a bad overthrow from left field that allowed runners to move up, and then with 2 out, a drop pop-up in shallow right that should never have happened. Allowed 2 more runs to score on that play. Base hit up the middle, produced a 3rd unearned run. 4-1 ends.
We told you that Felix, with a 13-12 record in 2010, won the Cy Young Award. That is not the lowest winning percentage in baseball history for a Cy Young winner. All time, Eric Gagne in 2003 has the lowest winning percentage, a relief pitcher. He went 2-3. In 1979, Bruce Sutter went 6-6. And then Felix in 2010 was 13-12. Laird is down on strikes. He's faced the minimum now since the start of the 4th inning. And that's his 8th strikeout tonight. 1 out in the 8th inning. Among men with 10 or more decisions in the big leagues, Bruce Sutter has the lowest win percentage for a Cy Young Award. Felix Hernandez second. The only other man that's a starter on that list was Gaylord Perry. His winning percentage was .600. He went 24-16 in 1972.
So among starters, he is way lower than anybody else. And a credit to what he did to win it with that kind of record.
So thanks to our friends at Stats Inc. for doing that research for us tonight. Bowler to the right side, a foul ball. If this score holds, Felix Hernandez will go to 12-3. No worries about the win percentage this season. I'm guessing his ERA will drop below 2. He started the night at 2.01. Look at how economically he has pitched. 94 tosses with 8 strikeouts. He's only had 1 inning of trouble. And he's way ahead of Pena here in the 8th. And ground ball to first. Lomo's got it. Pitcher covers. 2 down.
They wisely gave him a contract extension rather than risk him going to free agency. He is signed through 2019.
Felix does not have a complete game this year. Question for Lloyd McClendon. Leading 4-1. Would he let Felix try to finish it, or would he turn it over to Fernando Rodney? We'll have to wait and see as Bonifacio looks for a second hit.
I mentioned the 200-200 club. 200 innings pitched, 200 strikeouts. He and Randy Johnson are tied with 5 in Mariner history. He'll blow by that this year too.
Deep short. Nice play. Long throw. Got it. Chris Taylor's been everywhere tonight. A diving stop leads to a 1-2-3/8. It's all Seattle this evening. It's a 4-1 game.
Well, the one thing we didn't know much about with respect to Taylor's minor league numbers, we saw the offense. We didn't know much about his defense, but he showed a really good arm. Once he got to his feet, he had to unload on a fast runner. And he made a strong throw across the diamond, much to the delight of his all-star pitcher.
Well, guys, taking a look at Emilio Bonifacio there, talking to him before the game, you can see the speed that he has, right? And some of the weapons he brings is that leadoff position. He feels really comfortable there. He said it's where he's played most of his career, and the play he's made in the outfield tonight, too, certainly gives Freddie some things to think about.
Well, he's had good range tonight. He's made good plays, and he's gotten on base. He got robbed there. But that's one of the reasons the Braves liked him and got him, was because of what he could bring to the table. He might light a fire under them offensively.
So David Carpenter's on to pitch the Seattle 8th. James Russell went an inning with 1 hit. And Rodney is up in the Seattle bullpen. I know he's a good relief pitcher, but I wouldn't mind seeing Felix Hernandez out of the game. So we'll see what Lloyd McClendon chooses as Seager is down on strikes. Carpenter got him with a breaking ball, it appeared. Good start for David's 8th.
David worked in 2 games at San Diego, an inning and a third in both of them. Total of 3 hits allowed and 1 run. Struck out 4. He's got life back on his fastball again since that DL stint.
Chris Denorfia has reached twice. He's walked, singled, scored, and struck out. That single in the 4th inning was his first hit as a Mariner. And good cut right back to the screen foul. It's 0-2. Hey, the Phillies have won. Their long national nightmare is over. They beat Houston 2-1. Texas slaughtered the White Sox. That was a 16-0 game at U.S. Cellular Field tonight. Brewers beat the Giants 4-3. Cubs beat Colorado in extras 5-4. Arizona is losing big to Kansas City. Arizona without Paul Goldschmidt. Broken hand, may be out for the rest of the year.
That's a shame.
Dodgers lead the Angels 4-3 in the 7th inning. That was Clayton Kershaw starting for Los Angeles tonight. First time Clayton Kershaw and Mike Trout have faced off in a big league game tonight. And Trout went 2 for 3 in that game so far. Two balls, 2 strikes for Chris Denorfia. And up and away. A full count.
Feel bad for Arizona fans, for a team that needs their A guy, their #1 player, to help draw some fans to games. If he's out, that really puts a dent in things for the D-backs.
And Denorfia chased a bad ball. Carpenter has a strikeout. 2 of those in the inning for David. And with the bases empty and 2 outs, we'll show you our AT&T fan photo of tonight's game. Tweet your photo to #SouthFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. That's brought to you by AT&T.
Thank you, Francis.
Two outs for Morrison. He's reached twice. He's an RBI hit, and he scored a run.
This losing streak that the Braves are on is tough for everybody to swallow because just not used to it. But that man is doing everything he knows to do. He's done all he can do. Made a change in the lineup tonight. Hope that would help against King Felix, knowing that he's awfully tough on right-handed hitters. Now we'll see how Andrelton Simmons is physically, if he's going to be able to play tomorrow, or if they decide to rest him tomorrow and take advantage of the day off Thursday and then come back and play Friday. Hayward didn't play in the first 3 games of this road trip.
And first, Freddie Freeman's got it to retire Morrison.
But it all is going to revolve around getting some offense going. They've got to start hitting the ball.
14 runs on the road trip, which is in its 7th game, and it's 4-1 Seattle to the 9th. Still no complete games for Felix Hernandez. He leaves Joe with a job exceptionally well done as he's chasing down victory number 12 tonight.
Yeah, and after 97 pitches and really not having any stressful innings since the third inning. But he's out of there, and they turn it over to their closer, who's in line for a save, Fernando Rodney.
He's looking for his 31st, and he'll have the 2, 3, 4 hitters coming up for the Braves. All right, let's get back to our AT&T U-verse trivia question. We've had a while to think about this one tonight. Felix Hernandez is one of 2 Mariners pitchers since 2000 with 18 or more wins and an ERA under 3.10 in a season. Can you name the other?
I want to stick with Jamie Moyer.
I'm going to think of a former Brave. Freddie Garcia. Pitched in the glory years here in Seattle. Let's see if he's the right answer. Freddie Garcia, 2001, went 18-6.
It's good to know that somebody's hot on the trip.
I know somebody who's going to be that we got the question right. Here's Rodney. The cap askew, but the result's not. Looking for save number 31.
He's been really good since May. He's gone 19 for 20 in saves since May 22nd.
Rodney, you'll recall, saved both games in Atlanta. It was June 3rd and 4th. They were saves 15 and 16. Save game started by Erasmo Ramirez and Iwakuma, who we will miss in this series. Andy Chavez takes over defensively in right field. LaStella, 2 strikeouts and a walk. He's got a 2-0 count.
Rodney's fastball can range up into the upper 90s, and he's got a good changeup.
Line drive to right field by Tommy LaStella. Let's see if he can stretch that into a double. He's going to. It's a good start for Atlanta in the 9th inning. Braves trying to spoil the 15th straight game pitched by Felix Hernandez of 7 or more innings and 2 or fewer runs.
Sometimes Rodney does a little slide step working out of the stretch, almost like a windup to try to catch you off guard. And by jumping at the plate and then throwing an 80-mile-an-hour changeup to try to throw off your timing, it works quite often. It didn't there. Tommy LaStella was all over it, and he's been on base twice again tonight.
So the Braves have a 9th inning threat. They scored some runs in the 9th inning on this road trip. Can they finish the deal in Seattle tonight?
Nobody on the team with real good numbers against Rodney, more than just 1 hit. Freddie's 0 for 2.
And he's been 0-2 all night. Ground ball right side. CANO will flag it down and throw to first. LaStella to third with 1 out.
Nice play by CANO there. That almost got through. Didn't have to lay out for it, but he didn't have time to do anything other than just get to it.
It's pretty good handiwork there by Justin Upton. You ever try to tie your shoes with gloves on? It's not easy. Runner at third, 1 out. Ground ball to short. Easy play to first. Rodney surrenders the run. Give Upton an RBI, his 64th. LaStella scores to make it a 4-2 game. Braves still have hope. Need somebody to reach and someone to pop one. You got Hayward up, then Gaddis. Infield hit for Jason in the 7th inning. But he was doubled up.
It's 3 times on the road trip they've scored in the 9th inning when they were behind. 1 to tie a game and send it to extra innings, but they have not been able to get enough to get on top. Or to send the game deep enough to get a win.
Now this crowd of 24,496 on its feet as Hayward and the Braves down to their last strike. Little pop, shallow left. That ball is going to drop, and Hayward's got 2 hits. And the Braves aren't done yet. A run, 2 hits in the inning, and now Gaddis could tie it.
Just keep plugging away. Like a change up away. Right off the end of the bat, one finally drops for Atlanta. Gaddis 0 for 1 against him with a strikeout. You're always willing to take your chances with Evan Gaddis here, aren't you? I mean, let him have a swing and a chance to tie it.
Outside corner, a strike. Oh, and 2. Back our way and into the seats.
All change-ups, 80 and 81 mile an hour change-ups. After mid-90s fastball.
No balls, 2 strikes. And Gaddis swings and misses, and the losing streak reaches 7. The Braves score a run in the 9th inning, but fall too short. Seattle wins by a final of 4-2. Felix Hernandez, the victor. He's now 12-3. Alex Wood, the tough luck loser, at 7-9. And Rodney earns his 31st save.